Huh. Hello, guys. Nevada Cario here. Phew. I believe it's been since like March or April. I think it's been like 3 months ago, I believe, since I even went live. I'm probably will save this video or not if anybody does seem to come by, which I don't know. Like to see, like to see if I can do something interesting here. So let me see, So how are you guys? I'm doing fine. I know not everybody's gonna even want to watch this because I mean if people oh yeah, I got 85 subscribers. I will do a 100 subscriber special video if we do reach that, and I think I will. It'll probably take way longer than I did with my older channel, Oh, man, I want to try to show my screen. You know what? Screw that. There it is. See if I can search for anything interesting. Hodgkin's leukemia. Let me see. Let me see that. I want to see how that dumbass falls. Oh, I can't wait to see. You guys are going to love this one. So, I'm going to try to. Oh my goodness. Okay, why am I even stalling, I'm going to probably be here until 9. Dang, I'm stalling my voice. It kind of sucks, when you're in a situation like this. So, tomorrow I'm going to be working on Friday. For the last few weeks, basically I work on Fridays, but for the last Fridays, I've had my days off, I've had my days off. And, kind of sucks for the most part when you don't get to work longer, but oh well. I would have probably earned a little more money, and now I'm going to waste some more money on getting the license plates. I'm not going to be streaming this for long if anybody does come to my house. I'm home alone, Kind of sucks that I'm probably going to have to give away this computer if I do move out because I think I'm very much considering doing the van life. Gonna have to try to own very less when I move out. I don't know when my plan to move out is going to be, but I want to try to make it as soon as possible because this is getting ridiculous. You know what? I'm gonna keep the live stream. Who cares anymore? I like to see if I can tell Patrick that I'm live. So I don't know if anybody is responding to my comments. I can't even tell anymore. Anyways, let's go with this. I want to try to speed up the process just to make it a little more funnier. So There's no audio. Oh yeah, that's right. Look at that dirty old hag walking like that stupid ass. You know what? I want to try to read. Let's do this. That's a kind of elder you really should not show respect for. A fucking old ass tyrant. That's what Honaiden is. Look at that. That's what he deserves for being such a old dirty hag. Because that's all what he is. Like any dumbass president, you know? That's what they all are. To me, they're all a bunch of dumbasses. The sound of the plane is really funny. I don't even think your comment. Hey there. Hey, if you'd like, you can join. Oh yeah, that's right. I want to see how this happens. Invite. There you go. If you'd like to join, you can just I'm not going to be here for that long. It's going to be kind of awkward talking to somebody else. It's been so long since I've done this, you know. If you'd like to join, because I really, what the main topic I would really like to talk about in this video was basically about the muzzles, you know. Basically we all know that the CD, you know what, now if you haven't been, if you have been jabbed, you don't have to wear it anymore. That's literally what most of the corporate stores are saying, lots of them are saying this already. And honest, it doesn't really matter here in the Las Vegas Valley. I mean, Nevada has been screwed so badly, Nevada has been so madly screwed by this dumbass governor we have here. And here we have. Hello.
Hello.
How are you, Arcanu?
I'm good.
I'm good too. So how's it been going, in your area?
Surprisingly well. I mean, a whole bunch of people aren't wearing masks, but I don't know if they just got sick and tired or if they got jabbed.
Uh-huh. Yeah, same here. I think it's half and half in the Las Vegas Valley. Basically, I've been going into the casinos, at least the local casinos that we have, not like the ones in the strip, And I'm seeing more people just not wear them, which is kind of like relief. But even then, it's kind of sad that people have complied, you know. I guess I did the same thing too. I mean, because I live, my parents,
Yeah.
But I think they've been a little better off with me just taking it off, but I don't think they have a beef with me doing that anymore. My mom, yesterday we went to Ross with me and my mom, and I just had mine off, and my mother still had hers on, which, honestly, I'm just not gonna, I just don't care anymore. It sucks to see people wear them, but now it's like, well, I just don't want to get upset about it much anymore. Maybe just enjoy maybe the few months that we might have, But we never know. They might just reinstate them, the mandates, because of the flu season, like fall or, winter. So, yeah. So, how, hmm, let me try to, so, do you live by your own or do you live with your parents?
I live with grandparents, but it's not as easy as it sounds. We have gardens, and I still have things I have to do around the house.
Ah, so you live in the city?
No, we live in the countryside.
Ah, cool. Would like to do that someday. It kind of sometimes sucks, but at least I'm not in. At least I'm in the suburbs. It's better than just being in the middle of the city or like downtown because those areas are just bad in general in most urban areas. With all the rioting that happened, although not here, because I think Minneapolis have had that crazy stuff last year, and they're already starting back up again, like in 2016, which is such a big coincidence. Like it's so weird when George Floyd died, and then after that same time, well, not the same time, but like in 2016, I realized that they've been happening during election years.
Yeah.
I feel like they're just planned. They just want people to react and just like, they want people to, destroy their own areas of the city. It's not going to say destroy all the cities. Sometimes, I guess we can't exaggerate all the time, can we? So, what state do you live in?
I live in Pennsylvania.
Ah, Pennsylvania. Isn't that state kind of like in the middle? Like I'm not gonna. I mean, if I'm gonna get into like gun rights, as laws, aren't they kind of like in some areas they're good and in some areas they're bad?
Yeah, it would seem to be, you know, it seems kind of gray. Like,
Yeah.
like it's not very clear, or at least I don't really know much of anything about it.
Mm-hmm. Of course, because I've heard they're trying to get it passed, or they want to do something that has to do with constitutional carry. I've seen it from the GOA site, based on what I've seen, and I think Republicans there are kind of like lenient, or they're kind of like reluctant. Those FUDs, whatever you like to call them. The Republicans for the most part. But it's so weird to see like 2021 have seen lots of states already passing constitutional carry, and I already made a video, which I'm not going to get into it all since I already did that with a video. I just uploaded today.
Uh, I'll have to I'll have to check that out sometime.
Yeah. So it's been long since I've done live streams. It's just because, I mean, when you have this low of subscribers, basically you just don't get a lot of people because sometimes they live in different timelines. They got to go work or sleep, I guess.
Yeah, that thing that makes things complicated.
So so basically, how many people like are they still like wearing them? Is it like 50-50, or like how is it in your area?
Uh, they are very few. In fact, I think I'd actually be surprised if I saw a dozen. The employees in stores and restaurants and whatnot. Yeah, they're still wearing them, but like most of the customers, I've probably only seen about one or two at a time.
I've been seeing that more in my workplace. People are almost half of, if not most of half of people have already started taking them off. In my in the coffee shop that I work in. So it's kind of good. And especially if we're talking about masks and employees, basically what my manager told me is that if you've been jabbed, you don't have to wear it. And you also get a $100 incentive. And I just said no thank you. I'm keeping the mask on. So basically I haven't had to wear it anymore since my mom or dad hasn't been so strict about it. I mean, depending on where I go, at least, because we just went into an outdoor, like, wasn't really outdoor, was kind of inside, and it was like hot. It's like in a warehouse. That was like 2 weeks ago, and there was like a lot of like people, and not a single person had it on, you know. And my mother just she had hers on, and she just took it off. That was kind of a relief to see everybody not wearing it. It was basically a CBD like what the event, whatever it was, you know, those stands, you know, where people promote their business.
Ah,
Yeah. Basically, you know, since marijuana is legal in my state, we have, well, what's basically what it was just CBD. And we weren't really there at our stand for, it was about something else that has nothing to do with CBD. So, yeah. But I know Pennsylvania had it mandatory. How many people did comply in your town when it was, you know, when we did not have the CD, you know what?
uh, a lot. It was quite disheartening.
Wow. I think that depends on what towns you're going into because not all towns, you know, if you were talking about like some towns in the US, you would see more people like half and half not complying, you know. I mean, I don't know if you've been traveling for these last like few months ago. I don't know if I don't. I mean, because with me, you know, I've been passing by some towns in Arizona and basically Kingsman, which is like 1.5 hour away from me here in the Vegas Valley. Basically, I've been seeing basically they had the last time that I went in December 2020 was basically I went into a few of the clerks, you know, the gas stations, and most of the clerks that been going into, you know, didn't even have them on, you know. They did have the plexiglass, you know, the whatever you like to call it.
Yeah,
I think it's mostly I think gas stations. I mean, depending on where you go in the country, that don't the clerks or employees like don't wear them, you know, even though it's mandated by city ordinance or county. Of course, yeah, with that governor you have there, you know, with the masks and all that.
yeah,
Yeah. It's kind of good to see at least some of the I would love to congratulate the people who haven't even like been wearing them for the last months, you know, because I have one Truth, Money, and Freedom podcast. Patrick, I've been calling him on the phone like months ago. I've been calling him mostly like one by week, you know, and he's been telling me he hasn't been wearing not a single time, even in his. He lives in a like in your possession. He's like in a neighborhood, but it's more like rural, you know. Can shoot off the property, you know, no, outside of city limits, you know, shoot off your own guns in your property. And he's been telling me that he's been, you know, trying to comply, which he's been able to do a good job not complying. But a few times when he went into his local, like, small city, Springfield, Missouri, since Missouri is the state that he lives in, and basically he hasn't been like he had I think that one time he told me when he had to get his dogs at the vet, that's when he did have to comply that time, you know, because or else they wouldn't like or else it would just be a hassle. So at the same time, I can't blame everybody for complying with this because or else it just starts something big, you know.
yeah. And that's kind of what gets me. Like do as people don't really think about it. Do as we say or else. Shouldn't that be telling people that there's more to it than meets the eye?
Hmm. Yeah. You know, about the jab, you know, any people you know, have they've gone to jab?
My mother and grandmother did, and my grandmother only did it after being hounded by her doctors.
Hounded. Oh, geez. You mean the doctors? Oh, yeah, the doctors that have been peer pressuring. That
Yeah, it's like,
doctors that peer pressure to you to get it.
yeah, it's just like, oh, you should get the shot. You need the shot. And I'm here like, no, like I haven't gotten it, and I'm not getting it.
Don't get it, man.
Uh,
Do it, because this is really insane, Basically, I feel like this is the biggest. I mean, most of the people that I know have been jabbed, but there's some that haven't been. And a couple of people that I've heard have been reluctant into getting it. You know what I mean? It's like they don't want to get it, because they're kind of concerned, And then so I think I had one person. I mean, she basically doesn't live by with her parents, but she lives. I mean, her adopted parents. She lives with a caretaker, and her mother basically was telling her reasons not to get it, and she's like really like smart, like she's like the only one, in my vocational place that I go to. It was like a program to learn the work experience, and she's been telling me how she thinks that this is all exaggerated, and I feel like she's like the only bright one that I even can even talk to here in the Vegas Valley, because it's hard to find like-minded people in this city, the Vegas Valley, you know. It's really disheartening, But I did see the statistics that 50% of Nevadans, have been fully jabbed, which kind of gives me hope, I do think there's gonna be a pushback, but it all depends, if the how more people willing to take it,
yeah,
because I think other countries are still having their mandates, lockdowns, stay at home, I think UK still has that, and here in the US we're basically like open, Nevada hasn't been shut down, since like March of last year till May, we've never shut down again, which is a good thing actually, because some states or counties or whatever have already shut down, their stores, you know.
yeah.
So, do you have any plans to like move out, or are you staying where you are?
I plan on staying where I'm at.
Your grandparents, so they didn't make you get it?
No, and my grandfather, I don't think he's gotten it.
Does he want to?
As far as I know, no.
So, is he really reluctant, or is he like, or do you think he's gonna cave in,
He would probably be very reluctant. I mean, he's already kind of skeptical with all sorts of pharmaceuticals, and he looks to natural remedies, and
Nice.
they'll shit all over that, but that's where a lot of medicines came from.
Yeah. You're talking about medicines, like from the stores?
Yeah, I mean, he does have prescriptions that he takes, but he also takes a wide variety of vitamin and mineral supplements, and uh,
Vitamin C, that's a good one. Well, that's like pills, but it's just a supplement.
yeah, the vitamin C is useful to the body.
Yeah, people say it's good for flus. It's pretty amazing how I have not gotten sick from this. Even before, what I've already said, which I'm not going to get into anymore. I just don't want to make any of my viewers upset anymore. I already told you this, but yeah, but before that whole thing, I did not get sick at all. Even if I had, I've been pretty much wearing a neck gaiter, instead of having to wear an actual, face diaper. I've been trying to avoid wearing it as much as possible and just wear the gaiter, just because it's a lot harder to breathe on, and it gets foggy in my glasses, and the gators don't do that to my glasses. Having all that hot breath coming from my mouth and going to my eyes is really uncomfortable.
Yeah, and in the summertime, we're in Pennsylvania though, it's just plain brutal out, and then it gets worse.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, especially oh yeah, yesterday was really hot, Wednesday here. It was like 115 or something. It was so hot here. Excessive heat warning is what we had. So that's why it was hot.
Yeah, here it's not really the heat so much as it is the humidity. Sometimes it's like you're stepping out into a tropical rainforest.
Wow. Isn't that like where's what would Pennsylvania be? Would it be like in the northeast or would it be like in the southeast?
Uh, it's uh, it's grouped in with a few other states as the mid-Atlantic states, but I generally just considered it in the Northeast.
The northeast? Ah. What states are Pennsylvania border to? I mean, I could search it online, but if you don't mind telling me.
There's West Virginia, Ohio, New York, Maryland, and I think well, there's also New Jersey, and I think Delaware might also barely be touching.
Oh yeah, you are close to the south no, northeast. Yeah,
Yeah.
you are close. That's the Delaware. That's like the home state of are you outside?
No, I just have guinea pigs.
Oh, you have animals. You guys live on a farm or something?
Yeah, but we don't really raise any livestock anymore.
Ah, so you guys, is that what your grandparents have been doing for years or what is it?
Yeah, they had been, they'd been raising calves as
So
steers, and they'd been.
farmers like as a job or
I'm not real sure what it was, because we the fruits and vegetables we grow, we don't sell them. We just eat them and we preserve them.
do you know one of our local, your the legend continues? Do you do you know him? I mean, he's been in the chats.
I mean, I've heard of him, but I can't say I know him.
Well, of course, I'm not saying you know him. Like you're aware of him. The legend continues, like in his teens. He's been in our chats. I don't know if you remember with that one time with Chronic Blast, and then he was there. Yeah, and you were there also, but you didn't talk a lot.
Yeah.
That was like in January. I can't believe it's been so long since we even done this. It's the like
Yeah.
big chat. That was the best one, but my phone was like really cutting off. I think it's because of my Motorola browser mobile, since I was using StreamYard on the phone. So unfortunately, he lives with her aunt, and unfortunately, her aunt is gonna make him only because he's traveled to Puerto Rico, her aunt, and visit family, I assume. Oh man, I'm glad he was able to resist it as much as possible. Oh man,
Uh,
but oh well. I hope he makes it out well, because people have died unfortunately from this, from all the side effects from it. And I feel like the media have been reluctant to be saying this, and now like a couple of local media have been covering it. One woman, Johnson and Johnson, and I think the other one was, I think AstraZeneca or Moderna, I believe.
Hmm.
Yeah, you should be lucky you're kind of in a better position than I am, or the legend continues, you know. Well, I hope your parents, grandparents don't get you to, because, oh man, something my mother already told me, and it did not go well, you know. I already had a big argument with my mother last week when we were in the car. So I'm trying to move out with whatever little money I can earn. And I tried to do the driver's test this May, and I didn't pass it, so I'm gonna retry it this July, late July, and I hope I can pass it. But I don't see myself getting out that soon. Maybe by January. That's my plan now. Maybe just so I can have a little more money just for the truck, and then dang, having to relocate with all the registration and all the DMV BS because my dad's name is on my truck, you know, and I don't know how that's all gonna go. I'm just thinking about just throwing some of the stuff in my trash because I don't know. I'm thinking about just buying land with the cheapest land I can find on the internet.
That
So
sounds like a plan.
yeah, so do you mind living this lifestyle you have, or are you more like a city folk in your mind?
Um, I'm not real sure now that I think about it.
So you're not really sure?
Yeah, because you know, yeah, I can't really bring myself to leave my home because well, I didn't really have much in the way of a home for a lot of my childhood.
What?
Like I kept I was moved between various places between my mother and father, and part of my
Divorce,
childhood.
if you don't mind.
Yeah,
Oh,
part of them I lived in Europe with my father, and then another part I
Europe.
lived. Yeah,
Oh, does that explain your accent, kind of?
I think that might be it, but I also do have autism, and
Europe.
sometimes I have difficulties with my
Oh,
speaking.
same here. High functioning. So that's why, you know, I've been going into these programs, but wow, I've been driving so much better. Just, you know, I feel like I would not make it, but I always knew I would make it. But man, I've been driving so good on the road. Like I'm already comfortable on the road. I'm not even afraid to crash. You know, it's better not to be, because I mean, a couple of my coworkers I've already shared how kind of scared they are on the road because of rough or rude drivers. You know, so yeah, I'm kind of hoping, you know, so then I can just move out on my own, but something tells me something's gonna go crazy because I mean, what Patrick, you know, Truth, Money, and Freedom told me, and a couple of my family, well, my mother and, you know, other people have told me that it's now way harder to move out and get a minimum wage job and get an apartment like now than it was back then, you know. So I'm just
Hmm.
thinking of just buying just a little piece of land and just pay mostly taxes, you know, for the land and just not pay for any other tax, you know. If that is, you know, the conditions I can, you know, I assume I can opt out of those
Well,
and just, you know, do the van life, you know, like if I was living in a van or RV, you know. I'm just getting really sick of all this, you know. I don't really hate my family, but it's been really hard for these last few months and years, you know, especially with my brother, you know. And it's been, you know, my brother's been having it really, really hard, you know. Let's say this that he has autism, but it's more than what I have, a lot more worse than what I have, you know.
oh,
You know, basically when you imagine the, you know, getting out of control, yeah, The good thing is, my dad's a handyman and he can, fix all the stuff, in the wall. It's really not something to be even want to have to go through when you have a brother like that. It's not
Uh,
his fault. So, hmm. So you plan on living with your grandparents? So what's gonna happen when they pass away? I mean, where's that place that you're at? What's gonna happen to it?
oh, I'm gonna try and maintain it.
So you're gonna live there even when they pass away? So do you plan on like staying, in that house you're in or something?
Yeah.
Oh, doesn't that work if one of them pass away? Oh no, they're not your. Oh, well, that's parents, They're your grandparents.
Yeah, but they've had a pretty big impact on my life, and
Like how?
a lot of it I would say is for the better. Like, you know, my mother, my mother's she's often in poor health, and my father, I haven't heard from him in several years.
Wow. Are you okay with that? Can you handle not being around your dad?
Surprisingly enough, it doesn't really seem to bother me. I mean, I don't really like that it's happened, but for some reason, it doesn't really register with me.
Yeah, moving on, I guess.
That'd probably be the best way to describe
Yeah,
it.
so you don't get, because that, people who have that will get really depressed, like if your mother or father died, I don't know how that's gonna go with me. Basically, none of my family members have any real issues, you know. Basically, the only thing is that I don't really get to see my dad's family side, because I think he does interact with them, but basically me and my brothers and sister, basically we don't interact with his family for the most part. But I think it's just with his close family, because they're, Mexico, they're below, they live. Basically, my parents are immigrants. They're from Mexico. So that would probably make me American born with Mexican, descendants, completely from my mom.
Uh,
So, yeah. Oh, you were going to say something?
Not really.
Oh, so how have you and your grandparents where you're living, how did you guys handle this? What did your grandparents think when they started doing this psyop?
Well, my grandmother, I guess you could say she did play devil's advocate. Uh, my grandfather he didn't seem to buy into it a whole lot. I mean, well, he hasn't been doing so good. He he's had numerous strokes, and one of the neurologists was thinking it might be the early signs of vascular dementia.
Oh man. Has he lived a healthy life, or has he, or was it because he's been living, like all the food and stuff, If you don't mind me saying that.
Well, the weird thing is, that he's active. He does his best to eat healthy. And so we're kind of confused as to how this all could have happened.
Wow. Sorry for that. I hope that doesn't happen to us when we get older. I hope that never happens to me and I just die, with just a heart failure or just the brain, damage, and then I just die off like that instead of having big complications like a lot of elder folks do. I'm really not afraid to become old, I know young folks are like afraid to be old people, but I'm not concerned at all because basically I'm not like a insane, overhyped emo-ish teenager or young adult, what you like to call it. I basically dress casually. I wear polos for or button down shirts for almost every single day, just like my grandpa.
Hmm.
So I don't mind getting old, but I do kind of want to change my lifestyle because I've been eating so much and I'm kind of embarrassed to say that, but I do kind of want to get healthy, but it's really hard to when you're surrounded by food.
Yeah, and the worst part is, depending on what you eat, it could even be, become a feedback loop.
What does that mean, feedback loop?
Well, I mean, I'm not real good at explaining it, but in this case, it would be a feedback loop. Like, if you were eating a whole bunch of carbohydrates, well, suddenly you get hungry, and if you have nothing but carbohydrates, you're going to eat those, but then you're going to get hungry again.
Oh,
And
that explains. No wonder why I feel like that. It's so ridiculous. Like I eat like and then like 3 hours, I get hungry again. That is that's probably why I've been eating like that. I hate it when my body does that. Continue. I know I interrupted you there.
yeah, because, well, technically I'm straddling the border between overweight and obese, and part of it I know is because of my lifestyle, my diet, and but you're right, it's hard because some of my favorite foods happen to be rich in carbohydrates.
Same here. Oh yeah, speaking of Europe, which countries have you been living in Europe? I don't know. You said something like that.
Where I'd been living in Switzerland with my father for a brief period of time, and then I'd go to Croatia and spend some time with my I think you would call him a paternal grandfather because he was from my father's side. The grandparents I'm living with now are my maternal grandmother and
Grandmother.
yeah, and maternal grandfather.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. You're like the only one that I've known, in this YouTube cycle, in this channel that even either Europe or something, having relatives in Europe. And then you're in the US. You're living in the US.
Yeah.
Well, I mean myself, I've only been outside of the US. I've only been going to Mexico. Have you realized? Oh, yeah, it's not to mention. Have you even realized that did you even know that a couple of these YouTube channels, these anarchists, have you noticed that that they live in Mexico?
Huh. I didn't really notice that, but I
You know
noticed.
the
Oh yeah, I've heard of them.
Anarcapuco? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I guess the reason why is because Mexico seems to be very close to becoming a hollow state.
Hollow state. What does that mean? Sorry.
Well, it's basically. Oh, yeah, I'm not real good at explaining things, but I'll try. So the state has reached a point where it can no longer effectively enforce anything. Like it's basically just a state in name only.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that makes sense.
Otherwise, it would seem to be functionally similar to an anarchist society. But I don't think Mexico's there just yet. I think it's getting real close.
Yeah, I still think there are the laws, Because I mean, the police are still gonna do their job, even though corruption and all that.
Yeah.
I've only been into the north side of Mexico. I've never. Oh, excuse me. I've only been to like a state called Sonora, which is like bordered close to Arizona, and then Baja California, which is like California, the border to California. I've been to Tijuana, that's where my aunt lives, and her son, my dang it, my cousin. Dang, I can't believe I stalled. So basically, the northern, states of Mexico are basically like the south, of the U.S., United States, the southern states, because of the ranchero music, and then all the carne asadas, all the meat, deep fried meat, the culture that's there is similar because it's now and those states are basically they've been called the ghost states because those are the states that don't have the most tourism,
Hmm.
Hermosillo, that's the state capital of Sonora. That's like Mexico. That's like, the hottest, way hotter than here, where I'm at, Vegas Valley. It's supposed to be more humid and mixed with, desert. So recently, about the mask, have you still been like continuing to wear them, or do they still like making you like in the stores or where you go,
No, I haven't been wearing the mask. Even
So
though,
did you take it off like in May or something when you know,
yeah, and even though now they're saying, "Oh, well, if you're not vaccinated, you should still wear a mask," and I'm just like, "No, fuck that shit. I those things are atrocious."
mm-hmm. Well, you said the word, but oh well, I don't really care as long as we don't use the word too much, and try not to get this YouTube channel taken down. Because I already did with one video in regards to masks, about making fun of there was like a Trump rally with a YouTuber making fun by just putting comments there on the live stream, It was screenshotting it and making fun of the Trumpsters that were wearing them in the rally. And there were some of them that didn't have them on.
Hmm.
I would love to think that there are people that are like status that are kind of awake, but they're still like compliant and they still lean, the left or the right, the left right paradigm, I realized that some Republican areas, some red cities or red counties, I've realized that maybe there are those areas, that they're, trying to, not enforce, masks, not saying all of them, but there are certain areas,
Yeah,
like little towns,
but I figure, if the mandates come back again, I'm just gonna wear my 3D printed Combine helmet, complete with the voice changer.
Nice. Ah, you're 3D printing. Nice. Well, I can't blame you if you're going to comply. Normally there are people that would go hard on, people because they're complying, But, I won't blame you if you do. Because I know you're in a position where, it gets crazy in your town, I assume, or whatever you go to. Do you like, is it like, are you like in the middle of nowhere or do you like live in a neighborhood?
Well, we live in a pretty rural area, but it's only a few miles to a nearby town. The nearest cities, that I could reasonably call them cities, is either a half hour away at the closest or an hour or two.
Yeah. So basically, have you had to go into another state? If those, if I'm talking about, have you had to like leave the state to get something that's like illegal in your state?
Not that I know of.
Because with our situation, as you know, here, Nevada, the gambling capital of the world, Las Vegas. Basically, the lottery lotto is banned here. We don't even have them in gas stations, just because of that sole reason, because, casinos don't want to compete with the lottery lotto. That's why we don't have the Nevada lottery lotto. Basically, we've been having to go to Arizona or like California for the lottery lotto just to get it, when we do our like little mini road trips.
Uh, oh yeah, sometimes we used to go out to Ohio to get gas because it was a lot cheaper there.
Ohio. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Are you guys close to Ohio?
yeah, we're not too far from the border.
Like 30 minutes or
About 30 minutes.
yeah, basically we're kind of like I think it's just 1 hour, I believe, that we're away. Yeah, I think it's just 30 or 1 hour. So basically we're in southern Nevada, which is Las Vegas area. Basically we would be close to Arizona, even California. Utah is basically like 1.5 hour away. The nearest town or small city, you like to call it, St. George.
Hmm.
So we never really go to Utah a lot because we just go to Arizona or California the most. So basically, where have you been like traveling to? If you guys been traveling by car, I know you said Ohio, but do you guys go to any other states by car?
Usually it's Ohio. The one time we did go to New York State for something or other, and we did go to North Carolina, for a few days.
Hmm. Oh yeah, same here. When you said that, the gas is cheap in Ohio. Oh, the gas is cheap in Arizona as well. But maybe there's some states that are cheaper than Arizona. Think Alabama, Arkansas, or Mississippi. Yeah, those states have the cheapest gas. What I've heard. So in your town, so it's actually kind of good to see your grandpa doesn't want to get it. I feel like your grandpa kind of gets it, right?
Yeah, I think you'd, yeah, I think you would be a lot more understanding. I mean, my grandmother, she had objections to it because it was highly experimental. She only gave in, after being hounded.
What does that mean? Hounded would mean pressured or?
Yeah, they were basically nagging and pressuring you, like, oh, you should get it, you should get it, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but she didn't want to get it at first because it was rushed out. It's still highly experimental. She thought maybe somewhere later along the line, if they had refined it, that maybe she might get it. But I'm not getting it at all because I don't see the point,
Yeah.
even if it did work as it should.
Yeah, I don't see a point either. It's really I'm already starting to like even of basically what I've heard, people saying, I got it or oh, they got it. I know somebody who got it or basically already had like basically this year, starting this year, I already had like three or two people when my dad, that I know, my dad's friend, and then his brother, I believe, brother in the Curatine, because somebody got sick, honestly, I'm just even if it's situation like that, I will never cave in to the fear porn, even if it is legit. I still see a power grab, in it, even if it was legit, but I'm starting to lean more towards that. It's really not that different from other deadly sicknesses.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't. The seasonal flu killed a lot of people. Every year.
Yeah,
No one bats an eye, and then suddenly this, you know, it pops up, and then everyone's losing their minds.
yeah,
But I think the part of the reason was because they were duped.
yeah, they just had to tell you a scary story and boom.
Yeah, and I think the reason why state actors really latched onto it was because, if I'm not mistaken, there was some sort of severe economic downturn that was coming. It was looming on the horizon, but then this happens, and oh yay, we get to lock everything down, and the dollar doesn't crash and burn. What a happy little coincidence.
Hmm. Yeah. That's yeah, and so what about that? Have you guys, been staying inside?
Not really. My grandmother, she often goes to town for things and whatnot, but usually I'll stay here at home and take care of the animals, and if it's hot and dry, I water the plants. you know because I never really liked going out, even before all this nonsense.
Can't blame you. Yeah, like you mentioned, state actors. Yeah, state actors. Well, basically, I don't always like to go out, but I do it some, just to have fun. Because in the city, it would be very boring to just stay home. It would make more sense in a rural area or backwoods, but really here it would suck, staying at home all the time. But I actually kind of don't mind because I mean I haven't been going out to a lot of you know parks, like I'm talking about water parks. I haven't been doing that since I was like a teenager. I just stopped going to water parks since then. It's like 2016 or 15, I believe. I think it was the last time I ever did go to one. So we've only really just go out to like restaurants and just travel. That's pretty much what we do. Sometimes we go to events, but it's really not like a lot like other people do. I don't know. I've realized my sister's been going out a little more than I have been. Basically, just because I'm not very good with making friends or telling people, hey, let's go out.
Yeah,
Really not a good socializer.
yeah, I find it particularly exhausting, even more exhausting, than complex problem solving.
You still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Sorry. Oh my goodness, that cut out. We were saying something. Continue.
Oh yeah, I find socializing and interacting with other people to be even more exhausting than complex problem solving.
Hmm. Yeah, same here. I think people say that autism has a thing to do with that.
Yeah, it also, at least in my case, it also seems to affect executive functions or executive. I think it's called executive functions, like making decisions or acting on decisions.
Uh-huh.
It's a
Yeah.
real pain.
It is, but basically you get better at it when you get, start working, and you have to, like, in a place where you serve food or drinks, like a coffee shop or like a smoothie shop. You learn how to get used to it. But basically, I don't even think that's a personality that's ever going to change for me.
Yeah, because there always seems to be something, it pops up suddenly, and like, I'm frozen there because I'm stuck between having to figure out what happened and then trying to make a decision based on what happened.
Mm-hmm. Do you work?
Uh, well, I'm not employed now.
Oh, you're not employed. So
Uh,
basically, are you like trying to earn an income, or are you just gonna, just work around the place?
Currently, I'm just working around the place, helping my grandparents. But I am trying to figure out something like maybe either growing fruits and vegetables or with my 3D printer.
Grow? What do you mean by 3D printer? What do you mean by that?
Well, I've been thinking about 3D printing, anything like from decorative objects to maybe tools or something.
Oh, you're trying to 3D print tools to grow? Is that what you're saying? Because, oh my goodness, I don't even think I would even want to eat something that's 3D printed. Have you heard?
Yeah, doesn't really sound that good.
Yeah, it's gross. It's what some vegans would even, say, the hardcore vegans. you know.
Yeah,
That's why I can't even call myself a progressive. I believe in some new things, but I believe in preserving many traditions. I feel like it's what some of these progressives want to do. They want to take away the stuff from the other side. But hey, I'm not saying the other side is any better, but I'm kind of scared, what they would try to do. I mean, I know about big oil, but it's kind of scared what they would do if they took that away.
yeah,
So yeah, I'm not against people living their lifestyles, but until they start telling me what to do, then personally I just lose respect, and just say bye-bye. We don't get along.
yeah,
I feel more country even though I'm like in the suburbs. More recently because years ago, if you were to ask me, would you stay here in Las Vegas, I would be like, yeah, I would live in Las Vegas because that's where I'm born and raised. But hey, also my dad even doesn't want to be here in Vegas anymore, wants to go to Tucson. And I've heard, Tucson, I've been to Tucson many times. It's basically like a city, in Arizona. Basically, it's more like old school, just like a Santa Fe, New Mexico, where everything looks like an old town. It's like a city. Like I think the metro is like millions of people. And my dad told me that he likes it just because looks more laid back and quiet. My dad wants to wants to win, the lottery lotto just so he can get a huge chunk of land around the Tucson area, you know.
yeah,
But now it's like learning about what's been going on with the politics here in my position, with gun rights and all. It's like Oh Jesus, I don't even know how when people are blaming Californians, for our gun laws and and our taxes going up, because of these and people blaming the casinos as well for that.
I don't. I really doubt that's the casinos or the Californians.
Mhm. Yeah, of course, now I'm leaning more towards like it's the state, corruption. I know corruption is everywhere and of course you're not if you're in my possession, you're like you've got to not play the paradigm, of politics, So,
You can't win by playing their game.
yeah, that's true.
And that's the thing people seem to forget. And it's like, you know these people, they're bad, they're corrupt, and they're aggressive, but yet they get the bright idea of putting them in charge. How?
Like
And
I
then
know, right?
yeah, and then they turn around and
Thing.
say we can't. Oh, people would be all bad and aggressive in anarchy, but well, it's already chaos. I think the
Yeah, like it
riots and
already
the
is,
shootings.
BLM and everything, the riots and everything. Like that's not anarchy.
Uh-uh. Because we have rulers, and it's already chaotic with those rulers.
Of course, It's like you try to tell people and they're like, "What?" Like they look at you like some idiot. Which honestly, I don't care if people call me an idiot anymore. It's better not to care what people think about you.
Yeah, and besides, it's probably most likely projection on their part.
Hmm. Yeah, basically, when I think, that say fly, or just don't acknowledge, like like esoteric, a back alley philosophy, I
Yeah,
mean, and to me, I'm like, it's a good thing that things are getting legalized, but you got to remember, they only do that, just to make themselves look good. It's not like they really truly care, If we're talking about marijuana or constitutional carry, they just do that to make themselves look good, They're just probably using it to get elected.
yeah, it's a diversion.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like one time I heard something about, oh, when people were busy watching the Super Bowl or something, they quietly introduced some new bill or something that I guess it never would have people never would have let it go, if they had actually been aware of it.
Oh yeah. When talking about distraction, you hear people say, well, Americans are distracted. They pass, some law or legislation in the backs, And honestly, I think that does make sense, they're like people that like sports so much, like if it's a war sports, it's like they wasted time, you know.
Yeah.
Um I think do you have anything, you want to say in your part? Anything you want to talk about? Because I'm kind of wanting to finish this stream,
I can't think of anything.
Can't think of anything. Oh, wait, let me see if I can give you 3D printing. Yeah. Talk to me about that.
Well, I do have a 3D printer, but I just use it, for decorative objects, or maybe, as a quick fix for something.
Mhm. Ah, so you use it for like it as a tool?
Yeah.
Hmm. So when did you start getting into it?
Well, I got a 3D printer several years back, but I hadn't been able to get it working for a while, so and I couldn't figure out what was wrong with it, so I just figured I'd buy a new one.
Oh, but was it really working?
Well, it seemed to be working, but for whatever reason, it wasn't extruding properly, and looking in retrospect, maybe it was a clog, but I still kept the old printer around. Maybe someday I could fix it and get it working again.
Mm-hmm. Have you tried to 3D print, a gun part?
No, I haven't. My printer, it prints with PLA, and I don't exactly trust PLA for that sort of thing.
How come?
It it seems to be soft, and it warps at higher temperatures. I mean,
Mm.
it can be pretty strong, but I just don't really know if it would be suitable.
Did you lift something?
No, I just repositioned myself in my chair.
It did. I thought it was because it sounded like you're grabbing something.
Oh,
So it's kind of nice that, I mean, do you go with your grandparents or do you drive on your own already when you go out?
I just go with my grandparents because I don't really. It's kind of hard to describe it, but yeah, I just don't really trust myself on the road.
You don't trust yourself on the road?
No, because there's a lot of things going on, and I basically have to multitask, and that's just something I'm terrible at doing.
Yeah. I can't blame you for that. It does get rough when you're on the road. It's tough. You've got to multitask a lot of things, look behind you, look at your mirrors, look behind you. Let's see. Look for, in the front, and try to not crash.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's tough. But I can get used to it, once you start learning, you just get used to it. So yeah, honestly, I would have been in your position. I would have loved to have stayed with my family if we did agree with everything. And I'm kind of glad that it's going a little well with your family, your grandparents. Wait, so did your grandmother get fully jabbed or was it like only one dose?
she got fully jabbed.
Ooh. Hmm. So is your grandmother gonna try to peer pressure you?
I don't think so. Uh, she knows, that I feel very strongly about these sorts of things.
Hmm. Yeah, my mother was reluctant, back then. She was more skeptical. And now it's like she changed. Sucks. That's why I understand. That's why people don't like to want to go to university or go in the military because they probably just get you to be jabbed, you know. The schools, of course.
Yeah,
Well, we're pretty much close to the end. So, any last few words you want to say?
nothing comes to mind.
Okay. Thank you for coming by, Gray or Canu.
It was nice to come by too.
Yeah. I don't think I'm gonna be doing these for like a long time just because it's kind of feels pointless to be doing streaming when you're not when you don't have that many people, looking forward to your streams, or you don't have a lot of subs, So maybe in the long time we will probably do this, but I will not be doing them constantly anymore. Just because I don't want to overheat my phone or just let the battery die when I do live streams outside.
Ah.
So, anyways, thank you.
And thank you for having me on.
You're welcome. I'll see you. Maybe we'll, talk on Element later on, soon. Bye.
Bye.
So, guys, thank you guys for watching this video. If you like these type of live streams, hit a like, and if you're new here, subscribe. Basically what this channel is about. We're all about liberty for all, liberty to the death, No licenses, screw licenses and permits, even if they sound reasonable. I believe the only licensing scheme that should exist is from your company, not from the government. That's a topic I'll go, if we're in regards to pilots and all, the airline industry. That's something I'm going to go, talk about later on. That's a subject for another day. So bye-bye. Peace, guys. See you in the next video. Adiós. Que les vayan bien a todos ustedes.